Our first speaker will be, they are a licensed professional clinical counselor and the founder of Open Space Therapy Collective, Renee Johnson. Our next one, she is an environmental expert and host of Environmental Social Justice, or ESJ, with over 20 years of experience in environmental risk management. Please help me in welcoming Wendy Nystrom. Our next panelist, he runs a tax agency, a tax preparation and consulting firm in Culver City, California. Aaron Burns. Our next expert, he is the founder of the Angeles Recovery Collective, or ARC, by James Hughes. They founded the Angeles Recovery Collective to address the immediate devastation caused by the Eaton and Palisades fire. James, thanks for being here. Our next speaker, he is a dedicated community leader and advocate with over 17 years of experience in civic engagement, leadership development, and organizational management. Please join me in welcoming James Santana. And for our last but not the least speaker, a dear friend of mine, a community leader that I personally look up to. She is a remarkable 43-year-old Black trans woman, proudly born and raised in the vibrant community of Inglewood, California. She holds an esteemed position now as the Chief Operating Officer of the Unique Women's Coalition. Celebrating her 7th year this year in this work, she is proud to dedicate the positive impacts that she's doing to the community. She is a testament of resilience, leadership, and transformative power. Please join me in welcoming Queen Shannon Gibson. Girl, while I was reading your bio, I was looking for you where you're at in the room. Girl. Let the panel begin. I hope everyone is having fun. I'm just making it light because we're gonna talk about some serious stuff right now. And I'm so thankful that our panels are here. I'll be here in your back so that I'm captured in all the picture and video. Thank you. All right, let's move first to segment 1, emotional healing and support. And this first question is addressed to our licensed professional clinical counselor, ooh, that's a mouthful, Renee Johnson. Renee, from your perspective, how are you doing first?
I'm doing about as well as everybody else. Like,
Okay.
This time is really tough, and I think that it's important to spend time and acknowledge that. Like, this moment when we're all together in community is really important and really powerful, but 25 days in, it's been really, really rough.
I agree. That's why I had to ask too, how is everyone arriving? Because me, I am kind of anxious, to be honest, but at the same time, so grateful that I'm sharing this space with all of you. Like, despite what we just witnessed in the last 25 days, we have arrived here. We're all here. It's a beautiful day because queer people came together, and I think that in itself is a reason to take a deep breath and just be here. Thank you, Renee. From your perspective, what are some immediate steps people can take to process trauma and grief following a disaster?
Acknowledging it is always the first step. And you don't have to do that all at once. I think we often get into these moments and get completely overwhelmed and then judge ourselves that we're not processing it all at once and we can't get over it, and then we actually don't have the bandwidth to support our neighbors and support our friends. And it's okay to go slow. It's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, I'm trembling, I'm sleeping too much, I'm not sleeping at all, and really give yourself a lot of grace right now. There's so much pressure to volunteer at every moment, donate everything, and you can only do what you can do, and pushing yourself more is just gonna make that trauma even worse. and you're going to be in a worse place in 6 months when we had Trump's 100 days in April. And you have an opportunity right now to be very gracious to yourself. So I think that's first and foremost.
Thank you so much, Renee. And I have a follow-up to that. Giving yourselves grace, that's number one. That's very important, especially right now, to be reminded of that. This advice will specifically for folks who may be hesitant or having a difficulty seeking professional help at this time. What would you tell them if they're feeling overwhelmed or they feel isolated or maybe intentionally isolated and hesitant to reach out for support, even when they're available?
It can be overwhelming to reach out for support when you're overwhelmed. You're like, I have to do another thing. There's no way I can do another thing. I have to talk to a stranger. I don't want to do that. And I get it. I go through the same thing. It's important to really lean on the people that you are close to. Is it a neighbor? Is it a sibling? Is it a friend? Is it a colleague that you can just take 3 minutes after a meeting and go, oh my God, that really sucked? It's those little tiny moments make a big difference. A lot of time mental health and therapists are talked about as like, well, I go to therapy and my therapist this and I learning this skill and da-da, and fine, great, but even when you are going to traditional therapy and you're sitting down for an hour a week, it's still just an hour in a week. Like you have 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week and 365 days in a year, and that is for community, that is for self-care and covering yourself in the blankets, going to a yoga class, coming to events like this, seeing amazing performers. I'm going on a soapbox, whatever. The way I saw everybody's face go from like, holy hell, this is exhausting, everybody looked great, and the second the accordion player started playing and the hula hoops are going and the people are singing, everybody just went, oh. And like those moments are invaluable. And so, going back to giving yourself grace, play a little bit, and that is taking care of your mental health. Connect with the people that are easy for you to connect with, and that is the first step to taking care of your mental health.
Thank you so much, Renee. And that's Renee Johnson for y'all. And folks, just a reminder, which reminds me from this conversation, Renee, we have those folks wearing the purple bandanas, they're actually licensed clinical therapists. So
there's a variety of therapists. We have wellness counselors, we have social workers, we have associate marriage and family therapists, and so even if it's 5 minutes, they will hold your hand and be like, hey, I see you. And that can really make a big difference.
So feel free to approach them however you're feeling, however you're arriving. This service has been brought here intentionally just for this purpose. So thank you, Renee. Thank you, Open Space Therapy Collective, period. And speaking
Thank you
of
to all of our therapists who volunteered today.
work, thank you. And speaking of community care, this next question is addressed to my sister, Queen Shannon. Hey, Queen Shannon.
Hey, Carla.
Ooh, girl, I'm so happy to see you. How can the community, sis, how can the community come together to provide practical community support to each other, individuals, or maybe groups, especially in particularly difficult time like these, the ones that we're experiencing from the fire or maybe from what we're witnessing with the mess in the national political arena? We call her a mess, So what can you share with us in terms of community care?
So I'm going to say related to community care, I believe that it is important for us to understand that we are all we have within each other. It is important to instill those bonds, to be able to go to one another for support whenever we need support outside of community organizing. Sometimes people just need those simple phone calls or just those moments of elevation or moments of pouring into them. So I just encourage everyone to not be selfish and take a little time out to share with someone else, because we don't know the state that each individual is in this point in time. So it's just important to not overlook, to be patient, and to also understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Queen. I have a follow-up question. And this next question will be particularly personal to both of us and to a lot of the trans and queer people in this space. Sis, as a Black trans woman, a woman of color, we've navigated the world quite differently and much more difficult to compare to other folks. Right now, we're also seen as a source of hope for so many people, like the life that we're embodying. What would you say to our community, particularly trans and queer folks, who especially are impacted by the wildfires? What would you tell them, like to get by? What's a reminder that you would want to share with community members who may be listening to us?
If I could give some advice to a community member that has been affected by the fire, I would tell them to just take a step back, center themselves, and just take one step at a time. As, what's your name again? I'm sorry. As Renee stated, it's pretty much all about processing the situation. Once you process it, then you're able to go forth. But just take one step at a time. You cannot do it alone. This is why community is here. We are resilient. When they don't give us space, we create our own spaces. So to that, I will say, if you feel alone, this is a whole community created for you to feel welcome and visible.
Thank you so much. And that's Queen Shannon Gibson for y'all. And feel free to approach her later during the day so she can share what Unique Women's Coalition are doing to support the community. Thank you, sis. Now we're moving into the next segment number 2. Practical tools and resources. Yes, this will take much more chunk of the discussion. And to our experts, feel free to chime in on one another as people are looking to all of you right now and like we're all asking like, hey, what can we do right now? What are some actual resources that we have? And so this segment, we will have Wendy, we will have Aaron, we will have Brittany and James. Which, by the way, I am thinking we have another panelist who's not here in front. Brittany. Brittany Bennett. Thank you. So Brittany, we're live. Yes, thank you so much, Chanel. So we just didn't have their bio, so it wasn't printed here. But y'all, welcome in Brittany Bennett. No question yet, Brittany. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
Hi, everyone. I thought I was forgotten, so I was like, I should just leave. But I'm back. It's okay. No one's fault. It's fine. It's fine.
My sincerest apologies, y'all. Like, this is the biggest panel I've moderated in my life. So, like, my apologies.
No,
Thank you.
No hard feelings.
So, again, Brittany, we are in segment number 2 for practical tools and resources. Again, like the goal of this particular panel for this segment will be to provide practical guidance from financial recovery to housing to legal rights. So my first question will be directed to Wendy. Wendy, can you walk us through the first steps individuals should take when dealing with insurance claims for wildfire-related damages?
Sure. I think the first thing that people should know is any insurance claim, file the second you know you have a loss. Even if you think, am I covered, am I not covered, is this really a loss, is it above my deductible? File the claim. It can be a notice of a claim or a notice of a loss, because once an event happens, a clock starts ticking of when you can file. So just get that paperwork in there, get the paperwork filed, and then when you get your claim determination in, which usually takes about 2 weeks from your claims adjuster, there might be a denial, there might be a partial denial. It doesn't mean you're completely out of the game. It just means they might be missing information. The FEMA folks outside were talking about that, so if you get something that says big, all block letters, denied, it just means they're missing information. Refile, there's always a way to do it online. It's much easier than it used to be. And also with respect to wildfire, there are some specific, like not specifics, but some changes that people need to know about. You do get wildfire insurance, which is your property insurance that has wildfire coverage or fire damage coverage. A lot of people had the California FAIR plan. Now they are overwhelmed right now, so your claims determination is going to take a while. Just be patient, but also keep on them. You have every right to just ping them once a week. Do you have a determination? Now, I've always, told my friends, I'm here to help you translate the legalese or the insurance jargon. Don't worry about any of that right now, because until you get that letter back that you know what you're looking at. So patience is hard right now, but it's pretty much all you have going. There is some bright news in November of 2024. There's an organization that I work with called After the Fire USA. They're a nonprofit. They help people navigate wildfire recovery and disaster loss. They actually lobbied to the federal government for 3 years, where if you had a settlement from either PG&E or SCE or a utility company, that money used to be taxed as income. And working in the insurance industry, I've never heard of that in my life. And I actually said to them, like, you can't tax a settlement. It doesn't happen. And they said, this does. They got that signed in November of 2024. So now on a federal level, they will not tax you for income of that settlement, which is really good news for this. Yeah, huge. So, I probably went overboard on your answer, but I really wanted to get that information out there.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I have a follow-up question, actually. Since you mentioned because navigating insurance, whether it's home insurance or health insurance or whatever kind of insurance, it's so complex and there's so many layers that go behind it. So my question will be, what are some common mistakes people make when navigating this whole process of insurance or legal processes, and how do you think they can avoid them?
So the biggest thing, like the normal average person, when you get your insurance, whether it's healthcare, whether it's your property or liability insurance, you get something called a declarations page. It's usually 1 or 2 pages. It's your name, address, phone number, your limits of coverage, whether you have a deductible or not, the property that's insured. Ask for the whole policy. That's just a cover page. The entire policy is, what is our legal contract between you and I? I gave you money. You have now agreed to cover me, whether it's property or liability. That is a contract, is legally binding. You want to see that whole thing, including something called exclusions and endorsements. Endorsements are added to the end of the policy that change the body of the policy. So you always want to be able to see the whole form, it's called the body, and the endorsements that change the body of the policy. So read everything through. We have something called ChatGPT now in AI. Copy, paste. Ask, what does this mean? What should I know? What's important? That is just a godsend that exists now, because before, I'm a geologist. When I started in insurance, I didn't know what I was reading. I'm like, I studied dirt and rocks. I did not go to law school. So I learned the hard way, just reading form after form. When you get a coverage determination letter, read it all the way through, not just past page 1. If you see page 1 and you freak out and you say, I can't even read this, and I get it, your head is static, take a breath, take a moment, read the whole thing through, and then call them. Emails can get ignored, letters can get lost. Nobody really does letters, but yeah. Call them. These are human beings. I started my career in claims. Talk to the people. They are willing to listen and hear you through. So that's the best advice I can give on that.
Call your insurance. Thank you so much, Wendy. And the next question will now be addressed to our tax expert, Aaron. Aaron, what tax relief is available right now for those impacted by the disasters that we just witnessed?
That's a great question, and in fact, there's a general, like everybody in LA County, answer to this, and then there's a answer that is particular to somebody who has been directly affected by the wildfires. Everybody in LA County, if you reside here, if you have a business here, your tax payments, your tax returns are postponed till October 15th. And
I feel like I'm an audience. I'm so sorry. Aaron, can you repeat that one more time? Just for emphasis.
So your 2024 tax payment and your 2025 first 3 quarters, if you like self-employed and you do quarterly estimates, are all postponed till October 15th of this year. I've never had a reaction like that talking about taxes before. I usually put people to sleep, and rest is important. But yeah, so that's. It is state and federal. That's a great question. State and federal. If you feel like you're going to owe and you need more time, you've got that time. If you feel like you're going to get a refund, or if you usually do get a refund, don't wait. File it now, or file it, as soon as you're able to. You could even prepare it now, and then wait to pay it until October. You might get some notices if you file and then pay later. Just there's a number to call, and I don't have the number with me on hand, but there is a number for the IRS. It takes a long time to talk to the IRS, but yeah, persist. You'll get through them. And Wendy, I'm so glad you brought up the exclusion of those grants or the exclusion of the settlement payments. There's also exclusion from income for grants. I'm not sure if there are any grants available just yet, but those, if it's related to a wildfire, those are excluded from your income as well. And then, for people who are directly affected, things like property tax, that has been, if you own property, if your parents own property, if your family such own property tax payments just for specific area codes have been also postponed. There's also property tax relief if the home is completely destroyed. You can go on and apply for that. If you own a business in the city of LA and you're in a very specific set of area codes that have been affected, the LA business taxes that you have to file next month, those have been pushed until, I believe, April 30th. I'm not sure exactly about that date, but I think those have just been a little bit pushed out. There is one thing too, and this is the question I get a lot in my firm. I got money through GoFundMe. I got money through Venmo, Zelle. Is that taxable? And the answer is no. It is not taxable if it's direct support, or if a friend gives you some money. Next year they might send you a 1099 for that money you got, but it's still, even though it's on a tax form, it should not be taxable to you. You just have to disclose, yes, I got this money, but this is direct relief. And then I think people have questions about, if I give money, if I give support to somebody's GoFundMe, do I get a deduction for that? The answer is no. Just as you have on one hand, the income's not taxable. On the other hand, the payment is not deductible. If you're giving to a support organization, a 501c3, then yes, it is deductible, but for right now, there's no additional deduction for direct support.
Thank you so much, Aaron. That's actually 2 of my follow-up questions. The first one was, do individuals get tax benefits if their home is damaged by the fire?
Yeah, so
Okay.
There's if your home has been damaged or destroyed completely, there is a loss that you can take. It has to do, there's interplay between insurance, like the insurance that you receive for it, but also the amount that you spent on that property. It could be your home, it could be your business property, it could be equipment, things or personal things that you have inside the home. There's going to be some interplay between insurance. But yes, you would be able to deduct the losses from that, from your income.
Thank you. And the last one, and I would love for you to expound more on this if you would love. What's taxable when receiving support? And this is in line with the GoFundMe conversation. And what's deductible when giving support?
Right. But by the way, if I don't answer the questions here, I'm happy to talk. Just tap me on the shoulder outside. Just turn me around and introduce yourself, and we'll talk about taxes until you fall asleep. But, yeah. So I think I touched upon what's taxable or non-taxable when you're receiving the support. Mostly non-taxable. But if you are providing services, I won't even say that, but mostly non-taxable. Just if you get a tax form, let's say you have a Venmo or PayPal that you usually use for your business, and then you open it up to say I can take direct support and then send it out. It's going to cause a little bit of an issue. Just keep great records about what did you take in for your services, or what did you take in for your own support.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Everyone, Aaron Burns. Thank you. And the next set of questions, we have 2 more panelists for this segment before we move to the third and the last one. All right, moving to our architect, James Hughes. James, what are some practical design or rebuilding strategies that you can share with us that can help make houses and communities more resilient to future disasters?
Yeah, I think there's a lot there, and I know it's pretty early to talk about rebuilding, but it's something that takes a lot of planning and coordination. So it might be less of a priority, but thinking about how do we rebuild resiliently that we can prevent this from happening in the future, and that's talking about fire-resistant materials, non-combustible walls, roof materials. And defensible space around your house. Like, we need to manage our yards and landscaping with ways to prevent the fire from spreading. And that's even down to specifying plants which are native or succulents, and this will help mitigate that. One thing a lot of homeowners don't really realize is most of these homes were built in Altadena and the Palisades 100 years ago, 50 to 100 years ago. And this is before most building codes were even a thing. Like, there's nothing for wildfires or fire mitigation beyond within the structure, or some of the tactics that we address now are how do embers spread? If you've seen videos of the fire, and I'm sure you have, it's just a firestorm of embers about the size of a golf ball. And even smaller, 2 millimeters, and these get sucked into your house through your crawl space vents or through your attic vents. Your gutters, if they're exposed and full of leaves, they get trapped in there, and this is how it spreads to each individual property. And there are codes out there that don't apply to large areas of Altadena or the Palisades because it is just a strict red line boundary of a fire zone, and they're just right on it. So I think there's some ways that we can address building codes to be above the standard or above the minimum. So when homeowners are ready to rebuild, don't listen to your contractor saying, this is cheaper, don't do this. Like, adding these vents is gonna cost too much. So think of it as like a mitigation way to prevent your home from catching on fire. So I think those are some things to start with.
Mhm. Thank you, James. And the follow-up question would be, are there any resources or programs that you know of available to assist with homeowners in designing or building disaster-resilient housing?
So within the past couple of weeks, I have seen so many groups form, and David and I, we started ARC, Angeli's Recovery Collective. So I think that's a good starting point. Feel free to reach out to us. And we have a network of hundreds and even thousands of different architects, engineers, professionals, builders, who can help guide you pro bono or free consultation to the answers in the rebuilding process. We've got a number of initiatives looking at building materials, furniture, and then pro bono designs. So, I mean, I will personally help redesign your home when you're ready to rebuild. So that's one good network to start. The AIA is good. They are a much larger organization, so it can be slower or it can be a little more intimidating. And then obviously, like Cal OES and FEMA, we have representatives here. They are the people to start with. I mean, this is the immediate crisis that you need to go there first. So those are some good starting points.
Thank you so much.
I want to piggyback off of what Renee had said first. I think it's important for people to recognize they need to give themselves space. Look at yourself like a river. Whatever comes, just let it flow. Even then that might seem erratic, just let it flow. That's something that an ancestor of mine had told me, and I tell everybody as much as I can, no matter what situation comes, even if it doesn't make sense, let your emotions and thoughts flow, and no judgment, like a river. I think it's really important to just give yourself space for that first and foremost. And then the next step, would be rebuilding, right? Reaching out to community, our resources, our people, saying who knows what, who can do what do you know, what do you know, what do you know? How can we all come together to help each other, right? Asking those questions, because you just never know who your neighbor might have access to, right? So I think just acknowledging that you don't know what to do sometimes is the first step, right? Reaching out to someone you care about who knows, has your best interest in heart, saying, hey, I don't know, I'm frozen right now. What do you think I can do? Creating a list, discussing what your needs are, creating short-term goals, creating long-term goals. And even if you don't know 100% what that looks like, I think just acknowledging your community, first and foremost, where is a safe space that can just even exist is a really important thing, because, right now a lot of people don't have space or have a place where they can rest or just be, just exist. I think that first and foremost is a really important place for people to acknowledge and just give themselves that space when we create our own space, if it's not there for us, right? So we can be there for each other. I know asking for help might be really difficult for a lot of people. It feels unnatural, right? But again, going back to our ancestors, in community, that's where the answer is. In community, you will always have the answer for that. Even if you don't know what that looks like, the community does. There's always going to be someone who is more than happy to step up and be there for you. Even if they're a complete stranger. I've seen so many people just step up and say, how can I help you? Do you want some water? I just spoke to Debbie from Open Space. She's like, I have a headache. I'm like, did you eat? Did you drink water? And we just met face to face today. Just being there for people, just even like in a small space like that, means the world to people who are being traumatized. We're being actively traumatized being in this. And it's important to recognize that and just give that space. And again, let things flow like a river as they come with no judgment. I'd like to give everyone just like a background of like who I am and what I do, since that was skipped. Again, I do not take that personally. So hi everyone, my name is Brittany Bennett. I am an indigenous queer woman. I belong to 4 different tribes. I'm a direct Mexica descendant. That means most people colloquially know us as Aztec. But my ancestors, we identified as Mexica. That's where the country Mexico, the name came from. I also belong to the Yaqui tribe. That is a tribe that is bordering between Mexico and California, also Arizona and Mexico, Southwest area. I also am Mayan descendant as well, and Apache, so a lot of things in there, right? Yeah, so, my work is with people, first and foremost. My grandparents were huge activists in the civil rights movement. They worked personally with Cesar Chavez. They helped people learn English. They helped organize people, help them teach their rights, help them file for immigration papers. My grandparents were the first probably Mexican American, Latin American lawyers, first generation here. My grandfather got his law degree from Loyola Marymount University in the 60s, which was a big feat for a dark-skinned person who knew little English, did not have a cent to his name when he came here when he was 12 years old. And, you know, I learned a lot of wisdom from them about people and just showing up. So when I saw that, I knew I wanted to be a part of that in my own lifetime. And so what I do is I work in homeless services and frontline services. I've been doing it for about 8+ years now. That's been my calling. So I love helping people with whatever that looks like, right? You need housing, let's find you housing. You need food, let's find you food. Working on long-term and short-term goals, right? A lot of people don't understand sometimes, and that's okay, what's available to them. But again, in community, asking questions like, what do you know? What do you have? What do you got? Who do you know? You know, just asking, talking to strangers in community in these spaces like this, you just never know who has access to what, right? And we're all more than happy to help each other. So that's what I do. And I forgot the question.
I'm happy to repeat it for you, Brittany. No,
you.
but thank you for sharing
No
your
problem.
your work with us. But my follow-up question is actually it surrounds your work. What can you tell our fellow providers, resource providers, volunteers, community organizers who are doing this work? Because this doesn't pay much and it takes a lot of emotional toll to people. What do you think are some ways that you take care of yourself that you want to share to people that's been working for you?
Thank you for repeating the question.
Of course.
So, you know, when I, something that I do before I go out of my own house, feel free to take this. This is for anybody to take. This is not just exclusively just for me, just because of my tribal affiliation. I have an altar, an ancestor altar, and, you know, I talk to my ancestors, I talk to my grandpa, and I say, like, please just lead me to where I need to be, lead me to where people need me, and where I can continue to be a light to others. And then before I leave my house, I also end with, please also remind me and lead me to where I can also heal. Because sometimes we don't know what that looks like, and that's okay. But I think just having some kind of record, something that's tangible, for me at least, like writing down things that help me or that make me happy, right? That looks different for everybody. Maybe it could be, I just want to go get a cup of coffee and I want to get my cute little like matcha latte, right? For some people, it could be like, I need to go sit outside. I need to put my hands in the dirt. So I think it's important to recognize like what helps ground you. What is something that is easily accessible to you? Who are your people that make you happy or can just like literally turn your frown upside down, right? Turn on some Netflix, and just like actively work on that. Sometimes the things that make us happy can change from week to week, right? And that's okay too. We're all being actively traumatized in this as things are rolling on, and I think it's just important to recognize like, this is what makes me happy, this is what doesn't. How else can I protect myself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? Just letting yourself take up space, whatever that looks like.
Thank you, Brittany.
No problem.
Brittany Bennett, everyone. And moving us along to the third and the last segment of our panel, which is on building community and environmental resilience. And for the next question, I am directing it to James Santana of the Human Rights Campaign. James, what role can community events like this one that we're having today play in fostering resilience and rebuilding connections, especially after witnessing a very traumatic natural disaster and the ones happening nationally?
One thing that, as the speakers are kind of guiding to this last segment, that I noticed at the beginning, we talked about having patience and having patience for oneself. and then we talked on this side about being persistent. So this last segment, I think, is a great transition for us to talk about perseverance. So patience, persistence, and perseverance, like in this time. We just experienced like a huge election, no matter if you were in favor or not in favor for it. We have our community essentially burning right now. And we keep saying the word community, community, community. There's some of you wearing beautiful shirts that say community, and in that word, inside community, there is the word unity. And so right now, we need to talk about how to persevere. And HRC has been that for me. I was born and raised here in East LA, Montebello, and it's not traditionally a community that is accepting or welcoming based from backgrounds, being Hispanic, being Mexican, also Catholic religion. They're not very tolerable of LGBTQ plus identities. But HRC has been that sense of community for me. So what I'm saying is, for us to persevere, we need to find, as the last speaker mentioned as well, we need to find what we're looking for in each other in community. So find those organizations, find those resources. We're all here to help each other. You're all here to help each other. Whether it be a part of an organization or whether it be that club that is out there saying, hey, I need to get grounded and not wear my shoes out in a park. There is unity in community, and vice versa. So find your organization, join HRC, and we're willing to work with you. And we work with some great partners as well in the community. So if we're not partnering with you, tell us so we can be out there and be a resource. We can mobilize volunteers. We can promote and cross-reference each other's events and each other's resources and information for our community. But there is that word unity and community. And let's be that.
Thank you, James. And one last follow-up before our last panelist to share another thing. Those folks from the community, or maybe not from the LGBTQ community, who may not have been directly, quote unquote directly, because the air quality, we are affected, but who may not have been directly impacted by these wildfire, best show up for our friends who have been more impacted.
Oh yeah, so again, a little bit of a personal example. Again, being in Montebello, being in East LA, we are not directly impacted, but we all are in this together. And so just some things that have happened. Our local steering committee is based in all of LA County. So we were constantly, through text message, through communication, texting each other that if someone needed a place to stay in our own group, that's a start. Just be there for your neighbor. I also was talking to somebody that walked by our booth. Montebello has like a small barnyard at Grant Ray Park, and believe it or not, some of that livestock that people probably didn't know what to do with, our local little small zoo in Montebello took in all this livestock. That is the unity in community, right? That is the unity in community. And so even though we're not directly impacted, we still have to help each other. So still being in East LA, it's important for me and my organization to be out here and be present in this time of need. Be there for your neighbor. We're all we have. Just be there for your neighbor.
James Santana, everyone.
Yeah, awesome.
Volunteer to HRC, y'all. They're doing amazing work. And the last panelist that I'll be asking again, Wendy, our environmental expert, since this is a climate disaster that I believe all of us are aware that it's just only a matter of time before we get hit again by something like this. So as we look to the future, Wendy, how can we better prepare for environmental disasters, both individually and collectively? And a follow-up to that is, what are some resources or organizations perhaps or groups that people should turn to for support, and specifically highlighting the mitigation of environmental risks? Thank you.
That's a loaded question. So before I go down the environmental road real quick, there's another resource for insurance. If you are dealing with an insurance carrier that is giving you a hard time, United Policyholders is another nonprofit that will work with you and will help you navigate the road of your insurance policy. They are also supported by After the Fire, so these are both legitimate nonprofits. But with respect to the environment, we have, pollution is real. We all know that. Climate change is real. So as we pump more toxins into the atmosphere, we have destabilized our jet streams, which is why certain areas are now experiencing very wet conditions. Hurricanes are getting worse, more catastrophic. We are getting drier. We are getting hotter. These are just facts. I'm a scientist, so I don't really want to argue that. I've definitely had people argue with me. But the reality is, in order to mitigate it, I would love it if we stopped burning oil. We're not going to get rid of it. We use plastics all the time. Pollution's going to happen. If we just stopped burning oil, that would be huge. And we have the ability to do it. We have the knowledge to do it. We have the research to do it. We just need to actually make these personal choices in our everyday lives, regardless of the administration we are currently with. We can still make our choices. So that being said, the mitigation factor, when you were talking about defensive space around your homes, also when people rebuild, United States Green Building Council is a fabulous resource that can help you figure out what kind of materials to build with that are sustainable and resistant to things like fire, and also how to position your home to benefit from the sun rising to the sun setting of what makes sense for heating and cooling. These are kind of techniques we lost from the indigenous people. They knew how to position homes to maximize light. We just need to relearn things that we've forgotten. Other mitigation strategies are every single firefighter I have spoken to likes prescribed burn. That is where you have an expert. Indigenous people started it, we forgot. But you
Work.
we forgot. But you have experts that know how to burn that underbrush so it will not catch on to a giant wildfire. These are techniques that we need to go back to. It's a slow process, and we are going to face a lot of challenges in the future, but what we do when we rebuild, Green Building Council, again, great resource. For insurance, I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's IBHS. And they actually have entire programs of what kind of structures are best for certain environments. You talked about embers and eaves. Please stop using wood chips. Wood chips is just kindling that will just drag it right to your house. So gravel's your friend. And depending on earthquakes, we have to actually work with different materials on rebuilding that are also earthquake proof, which is why most people did wood. It bends nicely, but it burns. Now, there's a material called hempcrete that is actually very resistant to burn, and there's new technology around that. It's a myriad of things, and quite honestly, we need to start paying attention and working with the communities on what works for everyone. I go to these conferences all the time. This is probably the most fun disaster event I've ever been to in my life.
Here for it.
It's usually a lot of doom and gloom, and this is actually, you brought life into an environment that is so surrounded by negativity. So thank you for that.
Thank
you for
you.
PJ for inviting me. But work together, talk to each other, use the resources after the fire, and United Policyholders will help you guys figure out these routes. And then Green Building Council, they have so many different divisions that will help with rebuilding and materials. Taxes are also important. We don't want to be taxed for certain things. I didn't know about the Venmo or the GoFundMes. I thought they would be taxed for that. So that is really valuable information to know about. But the pollution side of things, you've brought about community and we're all connected. The environment is absolutely connected. Everything we do is a chain reaction. So we need to pay attention to our everyday decisions that we make. Small changes can lead to a big change. So I'll just leave you all with that.
Thank you. And just the last part, I would just want to ask any last words from all our panelists. Maybe we can start with Aaron from here, like this, since we started with Renee earlier. Oh, go for it, Brittany.
I have a question for Erin, and I think everybody
I
is
love
gonna
this.
want to know
Yes.
and hear this one. So for people, so for me, I live in Koreatown, and yes, I also got a bunch of ash all over my apartment and windows and stuff. For someone who lives not in those zip codes, like affected by the fire, is there any way, like if I have renter's insurance, can I make like a claim or be tax exempt for the damage, like from the ash or whatever, anything like that? That you know of. I know that's like really specific, but
It's a great question. Okay, I'll probably need to like look it up, and I'll
Sure.
get your email.
Sure.
I can tell you about it, or
Yeah.
if anyone else wants to, I can.
Because I want my money if I can.
If so, since it's an insurance payment for. I'm going to hesitate to say that
Sure.
it's not going to be additional income to you because it's a reimbursement for a loss. Exactly. Thank you. So, yeah, I think you're safe.
Okay, man.
Ask the insurance. I mean, when you can talk about it, make the claim.
Yeah, always make the claim. You missed that first part. Make the claim. Even if you don't think you have a loss, even if you think it's not going to be covered or what your deductible is, file a notice of claim or a notice of intent, whatever you want to call it. But one thing you're going to be hit up on is pollution. Every single policy is something called a pollution exclusion. Came around in the 80s. So that's why I always tell people, read your endorsements, read your exclusions. Now, this was wildfire related, so you might be able to say it's not pollution, this is ash. So even though people like to say there's toxins in the ash, it's ash.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of don't use the word pollution, don't use the word toxins, just say ash. And words are important. And just focus on that. I also said, run your policy through ChatGPT and say, what should I know, what's important, what's excluded. That'll simplify a lot of that legalese. But with respect to ash, I mean, it is damage to property, keyword damage to your property, and file it. And read what the claim says. The claims adjuster is going to send you a letter. Read it all the way through. Page 1 might look scary. Read all the way through and then assess what you can do. If you feel that you still have a right to file a claim, call United Policyholders. That's what they do. They're a nonprofit. And they do great. I met the woman like 6 years ago. She's fantastic.
Thank you.
Work fabulous. Thank you all. Well, I guess this is the time actually that I open this space for Q&A, since we've heard from our experts panel, except that if you have any one last words for community before we open this space. What do you all think? Well, questions then. Do we have questions? Yes. Thank you, my dear. Name, your pronouns, and question. Yes.
MW, he, him. I just have a question about insurance. I know folks who have made insurance claims and then lost their insurance, and I'm just wondering, is there any kind of resource that people can use to maybe check and see, like, should I bother making this claim at the risk of losing my insurance or not?
That's a tough one. So it is true insurance industries have been pulling out of California because the risk is too high. And I have to tell, insurance companies are for profit. They need to make money. So make your claim, talk to your insurance adjuster or your broker. Like if you just have like a property insurance policy, you have your broker you talk to. And I had a loss last summer of water damage. And she's like, don't file, don't do it. And I'm like, really? She said, how much damage it is? I said, it's gonna be about $1,000. And she said, don't do it. They might drop you just for that stupid claim. And I didn't, and it turned out to only be a $200 loss, so it was not a big deal at all. It's a paint job. But you have to be cognizant of putting in so many claims. Like, this is legitimate. This is fire damage. These are real claims. But I had a friend many years ago. Anytime she lost her wallet, she lost her purse, she did this, filed a claim, filed a claim, filed a claim. That year, her insurance company dropped her, and she was dumbfounded. She's like, why'd they drop me? And I said, because you're more expensive than what you cost them money. So you always have to keep that in mind of what is it worth to me? With this particular scenario of wildfire, absolutely, please do not hesitate to file your claim. If your house still stood, you are going to have soot damage, smoke, bless you. You're gonna have smoke damage, you're gonna have soot damage, you're gonna have ash damage, don't use pollution. File the claim. It cannot hurt you. In this situation, they would be incredibly stupid to do something like that.
We have a next question.
Hi, my name's Catherine, she, her pronouns. First of all, thank you all for all the great information. It was amazing. My question is kind of on the other side of things. I wasn't impacted physically by the fires, certainly emotionally, I think we all were, but I'm also have some privilege, and I'm also getting 300 emails a day as to who to donate to. And I just wonder if any of you would suggest someone that we could if we do make a donation, to whom should we make that is most impactful at this time for our community, as well as, for those who are affected by the fire, but mainly for the TGI plus community.
Is that a question for me? No, I'm just kidding. I would love to start, actually. We have the Unique Women's Coalition here doing beautiful work. And the mutual aids too, that we have Trans Defense Fund LA. We have the Mutual Aid Alliance here in LA that are specifically queer and trans who are organizing these mutual aids. And they go directly without what they call that? They go to the community without any red tape, anything extra that comes along it. Like, this is a resource, what Brittany talked about. What do you have? What do we know? Share that with me. And then that's what they do. So do we have anything else, y'all, that y'all want to share that folks can donate to?
Sure. So I am on the board of After the Fire, so I am a big proponent of that. But they go all over the country. So they were in Maui right after Maui burned down. They're coming here at the end of this month. They usually wait for the chaos to die down, but they're bringing a delegate of 13 people. And they're going to be all over the communities, and they go into the field and they deal with individuals, they deal with organizations. There is zero discrimination at all, otherwise I would have nothing to do with them. The woman who runs it, her name's Jennifer Gray. Jesus, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. But Jennifer is the most amazing woman you've ever met in your life, because she will be the first in. She will repeatedly go back to these communities. I don't know how she does it emotionally and mentally, because she deals with people that lost everything all the time. Maui was hard on her because not only did she see people losing their homes, but she saw the real estate developers coming in trying to get the people's property cheap. And the contractors who would show up saying, just give me your insurance money, I'll rebuild you, I'll be back the next day. And they never saw them again. So that's another thing. Sign nothing. You have time. Please do not fall for any, there are a bunch of insurance scams going on saying, sign up with us, you may be eligible for compensation from your insurance company. Don't sign with them. Your contract is with your insurance company, not a third party. And there's no eligibility. It's your policy. So please don't follow those rules. And be careful of attorneys that say, we're going to do a wildfire lawsuit. There are very good ones, and there are very bad ones. So do your research for that. So again, After the Fire does a lot of help with navigating through that disaster recovery.
I'm just going to jump in real quick, too. I know you asked about money specifically, a financial contribution. I was going to say on that small segment, too, at the end, that when I was mentioning a community, like if you don't have the money, you may have the time or the energy. So any time, energy, or money that you're able to also give back, it's a contribution, and it's in kind, right? That coming from you. So think about those organizations. Think about who you're partnering with. Any time, energy, or money is great.
So regarding Unique Women's Coalition, just to highlight two of our services that we offer, we are a tenant inside of the Connie Norman Transgender Empowerment Center. If you have not heard of it, the name speaks for itself. We have a ready-to-wear closet that entails a pantry, and we also have legal documents aligning. Neither one of those programs have ever been funded. We use general operating funds to fund those services so that they can keep going, so that they can stay active. And we have serviced over 125 TGI people within the last 30 days for name and gender petitions. So that has been one of our core services here.
I guess in addition to all these wonderful organizations, I totally endorse that. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. I would also add, there's a ton of wonderful GoFundMes for the directly impacted victims themselves. And I would encourage doing a little bit of research and seeing where you can kind of send them money directly. And on top of what Wendy was saying too, there's some very disturbing things going on with scammers and misleading efforts to try and take advantage of wildfire victims right now. So just be very careful. I would encourage anyone who's lost property, just don't sell your land. Don't let developers get into your communities and try to rip them apart, because this is going to be a long process. That just be patient, and there's tons of people out there to help you.
So, Catherine, I'm going to do a shameless plug for everyone here. My auntie, an elder of mine, her name is Tiger Moon. She does have a GoFundMe. She was in Altadena. She lost her apartment, the only safety that she knew. So if you want to direct to an Indigenous person, that is real, not a scam. Her name is Tiger Moon. Yes, that is her name on GoFundMe. But you know, Mutual Aid LA is a great place also. Then compiled a list of Black families and other families that have been directly impacted. Like, because I think another thing to acknowledge, and that's really important, is that that generational wealth is gone for a lot of Black and brown families. I was one of the first people that I knew in my friend group that wasn't in LA to talk about that. And they're like, what do you mean? I know people, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry. My friend, Anastasia Knight, she's one of the Black families in Altadena. And, you know, these people are never gonna have this opportunity to build this generational wealth again. That was such a huge thing to own a home for these people. And if you've never lost a home, it's like really hard to, you know, share in that grief. I know what that's like. And so, you know, that list is great because these people really, they need all the help that they can get in any way that you can show up. You know, even asking, just being present. Another great organization is CHURLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles. They do great work. There's a lot of people who are undocumented and are immigrants. You know, my people, we've lost a lot of jobs. That was our income. You know, a lot of older people lived over there. So we tended those people, whether that be maids, gardeners, in-home care services, so many laborious work, right, that we showed up and overnight all of our income was gone. So they're doing a lot of great work providing food, housing for these people, just showing up in whatever way that they can to fill in those needs, because a lot of people from my community are also being ignored. They lost their livelihood overnight, and now we're being targeted by ICE too. So, you know, those are some great places to donate to and direct to if anybody can, or just share with everybody and say, hey, you know, you never know who sees your socials, right? So even just sharing that information with other people, such as yourself, Catherine, who are asking, it means the world to us. So thank you for asking.
I'm just going to second everything you said. That's it.
When talking about donations, right now everyone's getting flooded with monetary donations and clothing and items and tangible items. Recovery will take anywhere from 2 to 8 years. So one of the things I like to stress is in about 6 to 8 months, most people it's going to fade from your memory. So just keep in mind and keep reminding people 12 months from now, 18 months from now, 36 months from now, people will still need donations. And what we saw in Northern California for the not the Woolsey fire, that was Campfire in Paradise, people were donating couches, and it's like, that's great. They don't have a home yet. So there's nowhere to put these materials. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you know people that want to donate, just say, hold on to it. There's a group, Liquid Donate. They've actually found warehouse space in the LA area to hold these things. And Liquid Donate will work with companies like Ashley Furnitures, where this desk is dented, we can't sell it. They donate it. And it goes to someone who needs it. So just keep that in mind as donations come in. Keep it coming, because they're going to need it. So thank you.
Hello, so happy to be with you guys. Thank you. My heart's open to everybody here, and I'm happy to be with you. I have more of a comment. PJ was kind enough to let me speak. I'm a business owner, and I've been reaching out to the city people and councils and all of this and the boards in LA County. I was able to work with the county to buy some clothes for kids this week, and I'm very concerned, I think like most of you guys, about gentrification and loss of generational wealth. And I'm here to tell you, absolutely not happening. The best thing in the world is about to happen. And overseas, and this is what I've been kind of telling everybody, overseas they're doing something called ethical development, and where people, instead of a developer coming in, buying the land and doing whatever the heck they want, They are partnering with homeowners, landowners now, where instead of building one unit, they build multiple units. The person who was the landowner is put up for 2 or 3 years, whatever it takes to build the building, and more units get built, and that person gets a fully refurbished unit, and in some cases, depending on the size of the land, they get multiple units. So this really keeps you in your community. And it's just something I'm starting to speak about. And I'll say 2 more things, which is I went to the church over there in Pasadena. I wasn't able to speak, but I spoke in person with the NAACP. Something Wendy kind of mentioned where she said, don't sign anything. I want to tell you again, I've been in liquidation for 27 years. I know business. And you all are in the ones who were really affected by the fire. You're in the best position in the world. You are the largest developer in the world right now. I want to bring you guys together, and I want you to know that at every stage you control the negotiation, and I'll give you 2 examples. The other night, the NAACP was bringing forth a lawyer for them all to sign to sue Edison. Excuse me. You're telling me that 1,000 people should give you 30% contingency when one person is giving you contingency? No. We're going to hire the lawyer, pay him hourly, and bring the money back to the community. And what I want to leave you with is this. Maybe I forgot my other example. I got too excited. But what I want to leave you is my game. I'm a student of landmark education, and we play games in the communication section, which is the game that I'm playing for Altadena is called Wakanda Now. And we will build a city that the world will marvel at. Trust me. The thing that is now a tragedy for you is going to be the biggest blessing in 2-3 years. So God bless. I'm going to connect with whoever can help us get the word out, and God bless you guys.
And that's for our panel, everyone. Shortly after, this is going to be followed by a raffle. Word. Right now. And the trans chorus of Los Angeles, the biggest all trans chorus in North America.